Welcome back to yet another episode of The Thing. Last time, we caught an even 200 Pokemon and defeated the fighting-type gym leader Kiki, but she didn't end up giving us her badge, so we're stuck at a level cap of 45 for this one too. The first thing we're tasked with is saving Kane on Azurin Island. We make our way there by the boat, then headbutt a tree on the left to catch Execute, bringing the total to 201. Next, it's time to catch a whole bunch of swamp Pokemon. In the morning, I catch Wooper, Quagsire, Yanma, Fungus, Amoonguss, Shellos, and Palpitoad. During the daytime, I catch Shelmet. Then at night, I catch Parasect, Zubat, and Golbat. Adding up all of these catches brings our total to 212. I make my way all the way through the swamp to the lab area, where again we have to fight Aster and Eclipse. He starts out with Solrock and Lunatone as always, so I started by sending in my Raticate and my Ditto. Ditto copied Solrock, so I decided to go for Sucker Punch and Rock Slide to see how much damage I can do. Luckily, thanks to a nice flinch, I was able to take both of them down on the second turn, so fight goes well so far. I decided to use Double Edge on the Passimian that came in next, and Rock Slide on both of them. This worked out okay except for the fact that Raticate died shortly after, but I was able to at least get Passimian to below half. Next I decided to send in Staraptor to get the Intimidate off on these two Pokemon, knowing how strong their attack is. Close Combat was able to kill Lycanroc pretty quickly, but Passimian was able to take Ditto very low, and then the next turn was able to take it out. Unfortunately, Day Lycanroc outsped both of my Pokemon and took both of them out the next turn. So I decided to send in Diggersby and Pyroar to see what we could do here. Diggersby went for Dig on Lycanroc, whereas I let Pyroar go for Flamethrower. Unfortunately, Pyroar flinched, and as a result was taken out that turn. That's okay though, because I did successfully get Diggersby underground. I sent out Castform to see what I could do and get Rain Dance up, but unfortunately, Castform didn't really get to do anything and it died that turn. All that was left was my Diggersby against both his Passimian and Oranguru. Luckily though, I was able to take out Passimian with just one dig, so it was just me against Oranguru. Oranguru wasn't able to kill Diggersby, so 2 Facades and that's all I had to do to win the battle. After moving a shelf thing out of the way, we get to walk to the Backroom to fight Taka for the next time. He starts with Klefki, and I had Zangoose in the front of my party, but didn't really have anything I could do to damage him, so I switched to Pyroar. I used Flamethrower, though he was able to get up one set of spikes, though luckily that wasn't going to be too much of a problem. I used Flamethrower against the Gligar that comes out, and it wasn't able to finish me with Acrobatics, so another one was all I needed. Unfortunately, Chatot was able to take out Pyroar the next turn. With Ditto, I decided I would go for Chatter to see if I could go first, but unfortunately his Chatot was able to hit Chatter before mine, so my Ditto was confused. Luckily I broke through it the next turn and outsped, meaning that I was able to bring Chatot to almost done before I was able to take it out. I decided to send in Raticate next when Ditto went out, but unfortunately it went for Chatter and again confused my Raticate and was able to shortly take it out pretty quickly. This was pretty annoying of a battle because I realized what was kind of happening here, so I went for Aerial Ace on Staraptor. Unfortunately, Chatot had Roost, so it was going to be one of those battles. I got, luckily, Chatot all the way down to low, and then barely managed to take it out with Quick Attack, overcoming confusion. I took the chance to hit Executor really hard with one Aerial Ace, but unfortunately it wasn't enough, and Executor was able to get Harvest off on its Citrus Berry. I sent in Zangoose, knowing that X-Scissor would hopefully be able to do a lot of damage. It used Wood Hammer, and only barely survived. With 1 HP was my Zangoose, who then took it out with X-Scissor. A pretty tough battle thanks to how annoying Chatot is, but nothing too bad in total. Next up is one of those RPG battles intended to be so difficult that you won't win on your first try, though they are technically possible. Of course, that means we're going to have to win it. We'll be fighting a level 75 Garchomp on the superheated field. So, I start by leading with a Focus Sash Raticate. Using the free turn I get from the Focus Sash, I use Super Fang to bring Garchomp to just above half. Thanks to leftovers it gets just a little bit above half, but that's okay. I then send out my Quick Claw Imposter Ditto, preying on my combined something around 70% chance of outspeeding it thanks to my Quick Claw, and kill Garchomp with Dragon Rush. Pretty easy, so that wasn't too hard after all. This will affect a couple of results later in the run, but again, winning isn't required if you're playing along with the game. It's just nice to do because, as I said in the first episode, my goal is to beat every single trainer in the game. That's pretty much all we can do in the Apophel and Azurin area for now, so we head back to Reborn City for another battle with Kane. Kane leads with Marowak, and unfortunately I had Blissey in the front of my team, so I didn't think that was going to go super well. I switched to Diggersby, hoping that I could eat maybe some kind of physical attacking move, and I was correct, and I ate Boomerang. I used Dig, and luckily avoided his Will-O-Wisp, but unfortunately was barely not able to take it out, maybe 1 or 2 HP, and it was able to burn Diggersby. Luckily I was able to kill it, but not quite as well as I had hoped. I used Dig on Meowstic, and thanks to the burn wasn't able to kill it, so after bringing it to a little under half, it's able to take down Diggersby. I decided to send in Blissey next, because I knew that Meowstic really only had special type moves that it could use against me, so I go for 3 minimizes. It got 1 special defense drop on me, but whatever, so I went for Seismic Toss once I was able to be an evasion god. Pretty much that was kind of all I needed to do to win this battle, because then came out Primarina, who had Disarming Voice, which does ignore accuracy, but doesn't do enough damage to really be impactful. Blissey was just under half at this point, so I used Soft Boil to get all the way back up, and then all I had to do was dodge 4 of Muck's moves as I Seismic Tossed it to death, slowly but surely. Next came out Nidoking though, and Nidoking actually was able to hit both Poison Tail and Throat Chop both back to back, despite my accuracy. So, that's okay, I wasn't really too worried at this point since Nidoking was the last Pokemon, so I sent in Ditto, used Thrash, and was able to win pretty quickly shortly after. It wasn't really a hard battle, all things considered, so I'm glad about that. Defeating Kane, we finally get access to the Bixbysion Wasteland, to the east of the city. In this very chaotic place, there's a bit of grass, so we can catch some Pokemon here. During the day, I catch Muck and Weezing. Then, at night, I catch Cubone and Drapion. This brings the total to 216. There are a few other Pokemon we can catch in the Wasteland. Popping out of random trees, we're able to catch a Venipede. There are a couple trees around the area that we can headbutt. Doing so, we catch Inkay. There are also some Rock Smash boulders around. By smashing one, we're able to catch an Incaudim. To access the southern part of the Wasteland, I have to activate a bunch of pillars that we saw in Corey's gym. On screen now are all the locations of them that I found. As a result, we get access to the second building on the south side of the main area. Also, our total is now 219. We enter the new door we just opened up. While walking through the tunnel, I encounter and catch a wild Nidorino, bringing the total to 220. This area has a lot of mining rocks. Next episode is the one where I'll need to revive all the fossils we can get by mining, so I take the time now to save and reset for each fossil. I've already found the armor fossil. The next one I found in this way is the dome fossil. Further in the cave, by clicking the 2 pillars, we get access to a secret back room. By going up and left, we find another hollowed tower, just like in Sinnoh. By putting in the odd keystone, we got a few episodes ago, we're able to catch Spiritomb, bringing our total to 221 for the episode. By mining some more in this area, I find the following fossils: the Claw Fossil, the Skull Fossil, the Root Fossil, as well as 2 Helix Fossils. We'll need 2 of these, one for a special quest later. But before we can go to the gym, there's one more thing we have to do. By walking into another room in the back passage, we're challenged by the real Poison Gym Leader of Reborn, Mr. Bigglesworth, a level 65 Garbodor. This fight starts with 2 level 30 Trubbish, which might seem like it's okay because that means you don't have to fight Mr. Bigglesworth and you can set up on him, but unfortunately it's not quite that simple. Both the Trubbish use Toxic Spikes, and on this field, they instantly shoot up at the end of each turn to do damage and to poison both of the Pokemon on your side. So what I decided to do was start with Blissey and Zangoose. My strategy here was to get Blissey to as high of evasion as I possibly could, using Zangoose as kind of a fodder to waste turns, and then I could get at least one of the Trubbish down. So that's what I did. The first Trubbish went down, and then I had Blissey slowly start trying to attack the second one. Garbodor has Drain Punch, so he pretty much takes out as many of my normal types as he wants all at once. I sent in Pyroar as soon as Zangoose went down, and was able to then take out Trubbish that same turn. Which is nice, because that means all I have to do is Garbodor, and I don't have to deal with poison anymore on any more of my Pokemon. Blissey went out that turn, but that's okay, so did Pyroar. So all I had left was to deal with Mr. Biggles. I sent out Ditto on the left side so that I would be able to use Imposter, and I sent out Staraptor. Thus Ditto got only -1 attack in this way, and Staraptor was free to switch out into Diggersby. Ditto got Stockpile up, because I figured that probably Mr. Biggles would want to go for my right side Pokemon since it didn't have anything that could hit Ditto super effectively. And plus, I have the defenses of a level 65 Garbodor. So I used Staraptor a couple times to get its attack even lower while letting Ditto set up its defense as high as it possibly could, switching Staraptor and Diggersby back and forth. It went for Gunk Shot on Diggersby, taking it almost to half, or maybe barely past half, I can't exactly tell, but that's okay, because then I went for Pain Split with Ditto and had Diggersby switch back into Staraptor one more time. Thus, we had Mr. Biggles at -3, which was nice, because it wasn't able to kill Staraptor that turn. I then just started going for just attacking moves, since I figured I'd done enough. Staraptor barely lived and was able to hit Mr. Biggles one more time, with both Aerial Ace and Quick Attack, whereas Ditto was able to continue railing with Gunk Shot. I figured that Diggersby now at -3, Mr. Biggles would not be able to take it out, so I used Dig the next turn. Luckily, Drain Punch only barely let Diggersby live with a little bit of HP, so Gunk Shot combined with Dig that got a flinch on Mr. Biggles was able to do all that I needed to do to kill it the next turn. A pretty tough battle, and there was a little bit of luck involved there, but luckily nothing too impossible for my normal types to handle. As a reward for beating Mr. Biggles, we get to pick up the TM for Venoshock. We also get to mine and use some Blast Powder to get a Dawnstone. That's all the major stuff we can do in the Wasteland for now, so I finally enter the hideout in the northeast corner. Inside, I'm challenged to yet another battle with our favorite character, Fern. He starts by sending in Rhyhorn. I had Blissey in the front, so I figured I should switch to Diggersby to see what I could do. It ate up a Drill Run, so I clicked Dig, hoping that I could kill Rhyhorn the next turn. Unfortunately, the AI switched to Decidueye, and was able to kill Diggersby the next turn with Leaf Blade. I sent in Staraptor, being able to take Decidueye down to -1 attack, and then I went for an Agility. This baited out his Sucker Punch, but on the next turn when I used Aerial Ace, he went for Sword Stance. Luckily, I was able to take it out, as Sucker Punch didn't do very much at all. He sent back in Rhyhorn, and although I tried to kill it with close combat, I only barely missed on the range on that and was taken down the next turn. Zangoose came out and was able to take out Rhyhorn, but was met with Scyther instead. Facade and Wing Attack were able to trade, but unfortunately Scyther was faster, so it was able to take me out on the 2-shot. I figured that would be okay, knowing that he has only a Ground and Dark type left and a Grass and Poison type left. I figured I might as well get Scyther going with Ditto, but unfortunately it outsped me and one-shot me. That's okay though, I sent in Pyroar as my backup plan, using Work Up the first turn and eating up a Wing Attack. Then all it took was a Flamethrower for Scyther, a Flamethrower for Crocodile, which kind of surprised me, and a Flamethrower for Roserade to win the battle. That's all I had to do to kick Fern's butt one more time. That's all there is to do really before the gym fight, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Again on the Wasteland field, we'll be battling Aya, the Poison-type gym leader not named Mr. Bigglesworth and not named Corey, in doubles. She starts with Nidoqueen and Toxapex, so I started with Diggersby and Staraptor, knowing that at least my Dig would be able to take out one of them probably. Aerial Ace did a sizable chunk to Nidoqueen, and then I had Diggersby go underground, but unfortunately thanks to Stealth Rock working like Toxic Spikes did and poking out at the end of the turn, Staraptor went down shortly after. I figured that since Nidoqueen is a ground type, I could send in Ditto and use Stomping Tantrum to take out as much of her poison type team as I could. So, I had Stomping Tantrum, and I used that against Toxapex. I got a crit, but still was not able to take it out. Luckily though, Diggersby was able to take out Nidoqueen. Unfortunately, Icy Wind came out, lowering the speeds of both of my Pokemon. Ditto was taken out very shortly after thanks to Venusaur, but Diggersby was just faster than Toxapex and was able to go up into the air for Bounce. I sent in Pyroar next, to use Flamethrower on Venusaur. It got a one-shot, which is super nice, and then Diggersby's Bounce came down on Toxapex instead, killing both of them. Next they sent in Salazzle and Drapion. This wasn't necessarily a really good matchup for any of my Pokemon, especially since Pyroar went down to Aquatail the next turn, but I luckily managed to get Diggersby underground. I sent in Zangoose, and used Facade on Drapion. Luckily, it was able to take it out, and then Diggersby came up from Dig, hitting Salazzle. Unfortunately, Salazzle had a Focus Sash, so it was able to live. Zangoose managed to use the Text, baiting out Sludge Wave, and hitting Salazzle with it as well. Zangoose went down, but that's okay, because Diggersby was able to get a crit dig on Dragalge, taking it out in a single turn. Next out was Blissey, so all I had to do with Blissey and Diggersby both was just spam Seismic Toss and Dig, and luckily I was able to take out Salazzle the very next turn. That's it for Aya. I was expecting it to be a little bit harder, but that's okay. What can you do when you have such a powerful team of normal types? As a reward for winning, we get our first badge in a while, the Blight Badge, and we get the TM for Sludge Wave and boost our level cap to 50. That about wraps up this episode of The Thing. Thanks for watching, and remember to drop a comment, subscribe, and ring the bell, and like The Thing. Have a good one.